What's up, you guys? I am being joined by fellow coach Erin Kobayashi, and we will be talking about surrender and acceptance tonight. So I'm just waiting for him to join us. There he is. There we go. There you are.
Hey, how's my volume?
You're good. You get to go.
Awesome.
I'm glad we could connect. Oh my God. Okay, so tell everybody you started Next Caliber Coaching. So tell us what you're all about right now.
Okay, thank you. So next caliber coaching, what I'm about is really elevation of performance as well as utilization of potential through mindset and language. So I am actually a mindset and communication coach. I go by Aaron, I go by Yoshi. Other than that, I really like supporting people in shifting perspectives, like seeing how they can see something differently. That way they can move past an obstacle, really turning that obstacle into an opportunity for themselves by utilization of like language, like what words are we using to describe a situation or using with ourselves, even our communication with others, like what are we up to creating? And that's really like what Next Caliber like represents in terms of what is the actual next level that we're looking to achieve. And it could be in anything. It could be in relationships, finance, career. It really just comes down to what sort of mindset do we have regarding that, and what stories are we trying to create within our heads, and then what we're living out.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, this is great because we get to talk about surrender. And I know a lot of people translate surrender as losing, giving up. So this will be a great topic. So tell me what your experience is with surrender.
Surrender, my experience so far with surrender has been one where I allow things to be the way they be. Like it's like I relinquish the control and the attachment to how something looks. And by doing such, I actually create an opening that allows other people, other events to start entering my life, or I start noticing things. Because what I notice that if I'm so focused on getting one particular result, I get so attached, and it's a tunnel vision component where if it doesn't look exactly like this way, I start reacting, getting frustrated, getting angry, even falling victim to like just blaming others for why I'm not succeeding. And then when I realize when I start surrendering and allowing like whatever's coming into my space to be, I can start retranslating that. And so with surrender, it's allowing whatever situation is coming up just to be, to kind of in a way neutralize it. It doesn't mean I can't feel what I'm feeling or experience my experience. It's neutralizing in such a way where I then have control to choose how I'm interpreting it. And then also to just let it flow with me. It's sort of like ease and flow involves surrender. And then from surrender, then yes, I can start seeing like what I want to, like where I want to go.
I like that. And I know you support me so much with this. Because I get like my blinders on where I can only see one way. And that is the way. It's my way. It's the right way, of course. I mean, my God. And who would have thought? And then, it's not working out. And so it's interesting because I get so stuck in the end result, like I want to make it happen, and I'm so focused there that I don't take a step back to be able to look and go, oh wow, there's other avenues to take, and I'm just looking at this one.
Yeah, definitely surrender allows the blinders to come off and to see that wide, bigger picture. And that provides exactly what you said, the opportunities and different avenues, different pathways to the exact same objective. It just doesn't look the way that either of us thought it was going to look.
Yeah, and especially like if I'm working with a client whose personality type might be different than mine, they're going to require a different approach than someone that's similar to me. And so being able to step back and take a look at that and go, okay, so I get to try something new with this person. That's really
Yes.
supportive.
And even with surrender, I think I also learned quite a bit of surrender through yoga. Just being able to kind of surrender to the moment, be present, rather than allowing everything else of the day to enter my space, I just was able to surrender to whatever was present within me versus trying to be in the past or in the future.
Yeah, it's just like surrendering I think about when I stopped using drugs and alcohol. It was like my mindset was surrender to win. So I know that I couldn't stop on my own. So I get to get support from other people. And whatever worked for them, I was open to the idea, well, maybe it can work for me because whatever I'm doing isn't working right now.
Yes, exactly. Especially with like what we've been up to like as of late. Like it would be great if we could all be self-reliant and at the same time it's getting to that vulnerable space of authenticity and surrender where we actually reach out and request for support. I mean, and when I say support, just for anyone who's listening in, it's not like help and support, it just implies it's how we define it. And for my definition of help is like the person is helpless, so they need to actually have a boost up versus the person is capable of doing it. They are reaching out to be supported in that moment. Like it's not calling them helpless, it's saying they have the power and yes, they get to be supported, like just held up, for example. But that doesn't mean that they can't accomplish what they set out to do. And so, yeah, definitely.
So was it difficult for you in the beginning to request for support? What was that like?
Oh Lord. Support what?
Right? I so identify with that.
I mean, like when we're high performers in anything that we do, there is this level of like, well, either one, requesting for support looks weak,
Yep.
and there is this something there used to be this story that if I request for support from someone else, I say, hey, can you help me with this? I get the backlash of, no, I don't want to help you with this, and I'm like, but you told me to request for help or support whenever I needed it, but now you're telling me to go away. So there was that constant trust story around what does like actually requesting for it is going to get me shot down. So
Hmm.
that's why like it took time to really start looking at it differently and just neutralize what the person was saying. Like they were just saying no, and that was it. I don't have to take it personally. But just even requesting for support took a bit of time because there was like this whole thing like, am I a failure or do I, yeah, it is this whole story that circled down where like I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, people have to help me all the time, who's saving my ass, all that jazz.
I love that you said that too, because the interpretation of the individual, like the story that I attach to the individual that might say that they aren't interested in helping me at that time, instead of just taking it as a simple no, like no, no, and it's okay for people to say no. It's not a personal thing. It's not a personal attack. It's for whatever reason, and I don't need to know the reason why they're not going to do it. I just go find somebody else. Really simple. But I want to write a whole story about it. And then I want to attack our friendship, right? Like it takes all of these, it turns into this big thing, right? At
Yeah.
least in my past, it has. Um, and sometimes it still does, where I take it personal and I have to, I get to step back for a minute and go, okay, what's really going on here? This is my shit. I get to look
Yeah.
at.
I mean, that's where like when realizing that I'm like even when I'm spiraling into that, when I'm like just getting caught up in the emotional wave of stories like this person's trying to do this against me and they're aiming to play me down or talk down onto me or judge me, and then I get to always pause because I know that trigger of mine and that experience I've had, and then I start asking, okay, so what am I really trying to be right about? Like am I really trying to be right about how this person is always going to show up, and so I can become blind to anything else that they were doing, like everything else that they could have done is negated in that one moment when they just said, no, I'm not available to help you. Or I can't do it. Like, yeah.
And I'm curious too. So what do you think comes first, surrender or acceptance? Because for me, um, it's that level of acceptance where I go, fuck, my way isn't working. And I'm okay with that. Let me just surrender to this process of requesting for support from someone else, or that somebody else, because God forbid somebody else have a better idea than me, right? Then I feel like I'm wrong or I'm not good enough, or why couldn't I figure it out on my own? And I write a whole nother novel about
Yeah.
all that. Um, yeah, and so I'm curious what your take is on what comes first for you. Is it the surrender piece or the acceptance piece?
That is a little tricky for me because when I think of there's no definitive one way in my mind. Like if I'm to accept something, like maybe I get to first accept support first, but that's also a form of surrender.
Mhm. Right.
But by accepting the fact that where I'm at, acknowledging where I'm at, and accepting that, okay, cool, I need support, I get to have it, I can surrender then and actually like be like, okay, make the request. Let's make the request for support. Let's make the request for clarification. And on the flip side, I can automatically, you know what? I'm getting frustrated. This is not working out. I want to surrender to what opens up in my space. And it's like taking a deep breath and just like letting everything go. And by doing that, I create this entirely beautiful space for myself to then accept whatever comes into it. So they go hand in hand. I don't think they are ever mutually like one then the other. It's like they just intertwine really nicely with each other.
Yeah. Hey, I always feel like it's surrender to win, right? Like that's how I look at it. It's not a weakness thing. Although I used to view it that way. It's not a weakness thing. It's just like, okay, I've let go of the attachment that my way is the right way. And perhaps there's another way. I'm open
Even
to
sometimes
learning
we don't
about
want
it.
to believe that.
I know, I don't. It's just like, well, this always worked before. It's like there's people, when you have new management come into the office and they're like, well, this is how we've always done it before. Okay, well, that's great, but we're not going to do it that way any longer. We have a better way. The resistance.
That way's not currently working. Let's try a new way and be open to what results get created that way. It's like it's always that's the beautiful thing about shifting mindset and perspective is literally like it's just let's try it and not just try it. Let's actually get excited about the possibilities that could open up because we're committed to this. So it's always about shifting that perspective to like versus resistance. Like let's just give it a try. Let's not try to fail, but let's try it out. Let's really commit to seeing it through, and we can compare the results afterward. And if we can get to combine the two, awesome. But we at least gave both a really good opportunity.
Yeah, and what's coming up for me is oh my God, my journey with fitness. I remember like I hated working out and I was like 162 pounds and I was overweight and I wanted to look a certain way, but I didn't want to work out and I didn't want to eat right. I wanted to order pizza and I wanted to eat dairy and like eat all this stuff that I later found out I was allergic to. Um, but yeah, like I wanted to do all of those things and I didn't understand like why can I not get skinny and do and be the way that I am? And I got to surrender to the whole idea that, oh yeah, maybe there's this another way that you can get there that might be a little uncomfortable just because it's new. And accept the fact that you can't eat pizza and cheese and gluten and all the things that you love. But do they love you? Do you know what I mean? Like I had to accept that. Like these things don't love me. Like my body isn't responding well to them. And why do I keep wanting to suffer? You
Uh,
know what I mean?
the insanity cycle that we all create for
Yes.
ourselves. Like we know we shouldn't do it, but we never present an alternative for ourselves. Like we focus so much on like I shouldn't be eating this, I shouldn't be doing this. I don't want to like. I mean, exercise can be a chore or it can be fun. And that it just depends on like, do we really want it to be fun, or do we prefer sitting down at home and lying in bed and watching like TV? Which, I mean, I enjoy that. I enjoy sitting down, relaxing, and not wanting to do anything and just eating food, like pizza,
Yeah.
chips, like anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's so I guess like for me now, like what I try to look at is it working or is it not working? Is this working or not working? And if it's not working, then I get to surrender to the idea that there's something else or another process. Yeah, or sometimes I'll even get into the process and I'm constantly having to surrender every single day because I'm not a full believer in the process yet. Because I don't see the tangible results at the time. You know what I mean? I'm
Oh,
trusting.
there is a huge amount of trust that comes with surrender because that also requires us to trust ourselves, which
Yes.
sometimes that is literally the free fall effect. Like, it's like, do I really trust myself, or am I? Because at times when I project it onto others, like I don't trust them, it really just comes down. I don't really trust myself to be able to see this through.